Back to episode 2 of CNBC TV 18 special coverage on the 2016 New Delhi Auto Expo. Now, continuing with our theme-based coverage, we're now going to bring you all the best sub-10 lakh rupee cars that are catching all the eyeballs at the Auto Expo, starting, of course, with this one, which is possibly caught the most eyeballs, which is the Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza. Now, this is the company's sub-4 meter compact crossover that is catching all the eyeballs at the Auto Expo right now at the moment. It's going to go up against the likes of the Ford EcoSport. We've already given you all the details from yesterday's press conference. So let's move on to the next car, the next sub-10 lakh rupee car that's caught our attention. It also happens to be from an Indian manufacturer. Well, unfortunately for Tata Motors, just before they were about to launch the Zeekr hatchback, they've had to go and change the name of the car, so that launch has been delayed. But when that launch does happen, there's another launch that's slated for later this year after that launch, and that's a car that's based on the Zeekr hatchback. That's the sub-4 meter sedan that you see behind me. It's called the Kite 5. It's still in its concept phases. That's why it's the beta name. It's going to be changed at the time of the launch. Now, this is the car that's slated to become the most affordable sedan from the Tata Motors range. It's going to replace the Indigo ECS. And from the looks of it, it looks quite striking for a notchback and looks like a car that could catch on to the Indian consumers. This is the Volkswagen Amio. It's a car that was launched one day before the Auto Expo, not at the Auto Expo, and that was to create a buzz around it. And why not? It's understandable. It's a segment that's been dominated by the Desire and the Accent for a while now, and it's seen the companies grow by double-digit percentages. So Volkswagen just simply had to jump into the fray with a sub-4 meter sedan that's based on their Polo hatchback. Now, a couple of interesting things about the Amio. You've got a boot strapped on at the back that's 35 liters more storage space than the Polo hatchback. It's not class-leading, but it's adequate nonetheless. The styling, very, very familiar. Essentially Volkswagen, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The build quality is top-notch, and you can expect the ride quality too to be top-notch because it's a car that's based on the Polo after all. The interesting bit will be how is Volkswagen going to price the Amio, because at rupees 5.5 lakhs, the Polo is already a little bit on the expensive side. This, of course, will be positioned above it, and in that sense, it is critical that Volkswagen get their pricing absolutely right. Now, when the Datsun brand was revived, there was a lot of promise surrounding this new low-cost brand that was supposed to take the fight to the big guns like Maruti and Hyundai, take the Indian market by storm, and they were supposed to do it with a hatchback called Go. But when from the same alliance, the Renault-Nissan alliance, Renault launched the Kwid, it kind of made things a little more tougher for the Go, which was already facing a tough time. But that car behind me is a crossover concept that's based on the Go's platform that looks like the car that could change Datsun's fortunes in the Indian car market, predominantly because of the way it looks. Now, this cross-testing kind of works for the Go, which was already a fairly good-looking car. But there are a few things that Datsun will have to really improve upon. The fit and finish, of course, the refinement of the powertrain, and the biggest concern of them all for Datsun brand in India is safety. Now, behind the Beat Active is a sub-4 meter sedan that's based on the Beats platform. It's called the Chevrolet Essentia. Now, once again, the Beats platform is a very small platform, so to have a notchback design, a boot strapped onto it is going to be a very challenging task for the design team, which they've managed quite well. They've managed to package it enough so that there is enough adequate space on the inside, even though it doesn't look so from the outside. But the design of the car, the styling of the car is definitely something that's going to divide a lot of opinions. We're going to head into one short break, but on the other side, all the essential cars that have been facelifted and revamped in the Indian car market. Stay tuned.
The whole company, not just the R&D engineers, but the whole company is extremely proud of what they have accomplished here, and that too with the Splendor legacy. The Splendor iSmart 110, completely new engine, new frame, new styling, new looks, and this, to my mind, will carry the Splendor legacy long way into the future.
Right. Splendor is, of course, very well known. It's a household brand, sir. But when you came up with a grounder motorcycle powered entirely by Hero MotoCorp technology, one would wonder why didn't you, start from, why didn't you adopt a different name? Were you tempted at any point to actually, perhaps give this motorcycle a different name apart from Splendor?
creating legends is not easy. It takes a long time. Creating brands takes a long time. Marketing new brands requires a lot of investment, a lot of time. We have here with us a legend. Why should we carry its legacy forward?
Fair enough, Mr. Munjal. How do we expect, what next? What's the next frontier for Hero MotoCorp? You've made some announcements. You've entered the export markets that you have not, you haven't been there before. You've set up a assembly unit in Colombia. What are the milestones that, as people who follow Hero MotoCorp, that one should look out for?
Let me for now stay with the complete range at Hero, and you know that in the premium segment, the Indian premium segment, Hero has a small market share. We really need to strengthen our market share there. We need to expand our range there, which is why we brought in a series of motorcycles here at the Expo, the Extreme 200 Sports, the HX250 and the XF3R, clearly showing the direction in which Hero is headed, slowly, gradually moving up the value chain in terms of the engine sizes, looks, styling, and sports.
Now, new cars are always exciting, but facelifts and revamps are equally important for manufacturers and cars. They are what keeps the existing cars relevant in the markets when they're expected to live out their life cycles. And that is why we're going to focus on the facelifts and revamps of the Auto Expo, starting right here at the Chevrolet stall, where there's a lot of activity around the sports cars, the Camaro and the Corvette. But standing behind me is the workhorse for Chevrolet. It's a car, it's a sedan that's found itself in deep waters in the past, up against the big heavyweights, the likes of the Skoda Octavia, the Hyundai Elantra, and of course the Toyota Corolla Altis. Now, this is the car that receives its midlife facelift, which means in terms of the powertrain and the mechanicals, it remains unchanged, but it gets a few cosmetic upgrades. You'll see the front fascia, a lot more Chevrolet current design theme being put into it, new headlamps, of course, new bumpers, front and rear, and that's what the new Chevrolet Cruze is. It's just been launched at 14.6 lakh rupees. Now, every once in a while a car comes along that a manufacturer just simply has to launch in a market and then sit tight as it changes its fortunes in the country. And the Innova has been one such product for Toyota in India. So many cars and manufacturers have tried to take the fight to the Innova and Toyota and have failed in the past. Of late, of course, there have been some impressive products like the Renault Logi and the Nissan Navara. But now Toyota have decided to stand up and launch the new iteration of the Innova. They're calling it the Innova Krista. New features, new levels of refinement, better styling than before. It's now more contemporary. So the Innova has been such a successful product for Toyota, and with its new generation, I think it's going to continue on that success. The Renault Duster is so very important for Renault in India. It kind of put Renault, the brand, on the Indian map when it was launched. Now, it is finally time for the Duster to be given its facelift. When the earlier facelift came to India, it wasn't the same as the European, the Dacia Duster was. Now, however, it's far more contemporary, in line with the European markets as well. The one area where the Duster was lagging behind in the past was equipment levels. With this, Renault have learned from the past, and they are going to improve the equipment levels, improve the fit and finish and the build quality. They're going to make it a more rounded SUV, not just a very capable off-roader and on-roader, but even something that you can enjoy in luxury with your family.
Well, there you have it, the old warhouse Toyota Innova getting quite the makeover there. Well, this brings us to the end of the 2 exclusive days for the media, but the coverage here on CNBC TV 18 continues.
That's right. You've seen all the important launches and unveils and announcements and interviews, but there's still a lot of automotive excitement right here that we'd like to bring to you tomorrow over the course of a half-an-hour show. So stay tuned to that. For all of you who haven't been able to make it to the Auto Expo, you really don't want to miss this part. Now, from all of us from CNBC TV 18 and Overdrive, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Hello again to this Auto Expo special. It's day 2. Yesterday we saw a whole host of launches by a retinue of automakers, and we got you a quick review of some of the crucial ones. We also got you the big interviews. Today we thought we were going to do something different. I'm Ronajai Banerjee, and with me is Jamshed Patel. So Jamshed, what's on the menu today?
Well, Ron, now that we've known what's happened yesterday and we have a fair idea of what's going to happen today, we've decided to give a more theme-based coverage of the 2016 Auto Expo. So over 3 segments, we're going to start off with all the activity in the luxury department. We're then going to move to a wider audience, so we're going to bring you the best cars in the sub 10 lakh rupee range. And in the third segment, we're going to bring you all the products that have received their mid-life product upgrades. Some very ubiquitous cars right there as well. So that's what's there on today's show.
All right, with that, let's start the show.
Well, it's only apt that we start with the Formula One World Champions, well, Formula One double World Champions, Mercedes-Benz. Now, the interesting part is that the road car division is doing just as well as the Formula One team, and one car that's supposed to push that envelope even further in terms of overall sales is the GLC SUV that they have showcased here, and they intend to bring sometime later this year. Now, the GLC sits above the GLA SUV and the GLE, and according to their new nomenclature, it's supposed to have the similar trim levels and interiors and features as the C-Class, which already is a very impressive car. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, of course, last year you saw them launch 2 variants on the S-Class body form, which was the S Coupe and, of course, the S500 and the S600 Maybach. Now they're introducing, or at least they have plans to introduce later this year, the S Cabrio, which is set to build their brand image a little bit further. And speaking of Maybach, they're also thinking of introducing the S600 Maybach in the Guard form, which is the armored version of their S600 Maybach car. Perhaps a car that's fitting for a Prime Minister. Now over to my right-hand side and your left-hand side is Mercedes-Benz's neighbors from Ingolstadt, Audi, and their stall and exhibit. Now let's find out what they have got to the 2016 New Delhi Auto Expo. Now their first product and the most important unveil is their volumes driver. This is the Audi A4 sedan. Now remember, back in the day when Audi became #1, this was the car that actually gave them that push to that #1 position. So there's no details on when they will be coming out with this new Audi A4. We've seen it before at the Frankfurt Motor Show as well. So they've just got the same car down here. But when it does come down, it is going to be a very, very important car for Audi in India, and important car to regain that #1 position. Now over to my left-hand side, and Audi's neighbors at the Auto Expo is BMW's stall, and where they have showcased 2 very, very important products. The first of which is the BMW X1, and the second is their flagship limousine, the 7 Series. Now both these products have been launched here. They've not just been displayed, which means you can actually see the products here. You can go to a showroom and actually book these cars, and in that sense BMW has been a bit unique in this luxury segment. Now, the X1, remember, is the car that started this entire trend of compact crossovers in India, which so many other manufacturers just followed right after BMW did. And that's going to be one of the major volume drivers for BMW to regain a lot of market share that they've lost over the years. The 7 Series, on the other hand, is going to help them regain that brand image that the 7 Series had. Remember, our Prime Minister also drives the 7 Series. Now, Bert drove that car in the US and came back very, very impressed. On the technology front, they've really upped the ante, but I don't know how much of that technology will actually percolate down to India because of the government's ban on radar-based technologies. But if anything, the 7 Series is still going to take the fight to the likes of the Audi A, the Jaguar X, JL, and of course the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Now, Jaguar as a brand has meant a lot to a lot of people across the world, from its racing heritage to its bedroom wall poster like road cars. But it's never really been a brand that's been very accessible, in the sense it's not very affordable at the lower end of the spectrum. But all that is about to change with that car right behind me, the Jaguar XC, set to become the most affordable car that you can buy from the Jaguar stable. Now, it's a very, very important car for Jaguar in a lot of markets like India. It's the second car that's based on their all-aluminum architecture. The first one, of course, has been on sale in India India, that's the Jaguar XF. Now the third car that's been on this display, which is based on this all-aluminum architecture, is a car that's changed Jaguar's brand image altogether. It's an SUV from Jaguar. It's the F-Pace. You saw it first at the Frankfurt Motor Show. It's on display here, but there's still some time before it gets launched in India. But think of this display right here. It's perfect for the Indian car market. For the price conscious, you have the Jaguar XE, and for the SUV lovers in India, of which there are so many, you have the Jaguar F-Pace. Now, while all these luxury manufacturers have been making so much noise, there's going to be one manufacturer in India very soon that's going to be right up in their faces, especially in the off-roading and SUV segments. I'm talking about Jeep. Yes, Jeep has finally announced that it's going to come down to India. After so many years of teasing us with their products, announcing they're going to come down to India, they finally made it. And the products they're going to come with is the Cherokee SUV, their flagship SUV that's going to take on the likes of the Audi Q7, the BMW X5, and the Mercedes GL class. Now, the other product that they are going to introduce is the Wrangler off-roading SUV, which is supposed to be a complete, true-blooded off-roader that also indulges you in a little bit of luxury as well. If you are an off-roading enthusiast, then that is the car to buy. On that note, we're going to head into one short break. On the other side, we're going to tone it down just a little bit. We're going to cater to the price conscious as well. We're going to bring you all the best sub 10 lakh rupee cars at the 2016 New Delhi Auto Expo. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere.
Well, we had some disruptions, as you know, especially here in the NCR. We're looking into optimizing that. It has become a lot more difficult to sell diesel vehicles here in the NCR, and that affects our overall planning as well. But we're very resilient, and we have a great product lineup, and we also are able to change over to petrol versions if customers need. From our perspective, the future is still with the diesel, although definitely not on a Bharat Stage 6 or 4.
We all have to know that all these very high level of expectation have a cost. So this is something that we all need to work on, us as manufacturers, to decrease the cost as much as we can, but also see how the government can support us in terms of, incentive or some kind of assistance, not to increase too rapidly the price of the car, or at least to increase the price of the car in line with the increase of the buying power in India.
You will see on the Nissan brand stand that we are introducing a hybrid vehicle into the Indian market in the coming months. And obviously we have this whole array of technology which Datsun can borrow from. So you can probably expect that in the coming years, as the pressure for environmental respect as well as fuel economy and also acceleration will continue to grow, that some of this technology will progressively percolate to the Datsun products.
It's 35,000 units at the moment in comparison to 1 million units luxury car market in China. So it's more important now to be prepared for the future, not to be number one in sales in January or in February. My challenge will be to get enough cars for the Indian market, but I think I will do it, and this will be huge successes.
To have the right content and the good price, we have to localize 100% of the car, and that is what we want to do for all our lineup. Our objective is really to have a market share more than 5% in 2017, and really with the new lineup we will have more than 5% for the coming years.